All right, so welcome again to another shitty YouTube video with nothing but facts, or at least beliefs that I currently think to be true, but who knows if they're wrong. So hopefully some millionaire tells me if I'm wrong, or somebody who's way ahead of me and what I want to do can tell me is wrong. So in that last video where I said, "Oh damn, my life might," in terms of what I optimistically had in mind, no, it didn't. But what it did was it lit a deeper fire that I had inside me, which was so the scenario that I had in mind was the grandpa that I applied to make this happen. All of them said no. Now some were like, "You go come apply again. You were like so close." I'm like, because one thing that I had a belief that I had that wasn't true was I had put my faith in them to do the thing that I wanted to do. Or instead, I should have been putting the faith in myself and use regaining the extra resources. And I personally believe that those resources are choices, attention, other people, and a specific equation, I guess, that I've kind of put together to describe the things that I've done in the past year and currently this year. But I was putting the faith in them instead of myself. And for some people who are like, faith is just fear. No, it's not. I'm because one thing that I'm beginning to learn, and it's just from self reflection. You don't go to a happy man for advice on to like do hard stuff. 'Cause, like any person can smile, but the guy who is just like feels like shit, even though he performs like a beast, like that's who you should be taking serious advice from, not somebody who just feels like happy and like, oh yeah, like life's good. Like it's not going to teach you anything because being happy isn't, at least for me, being happy isn't the goal. Because like sometimes I feel like shit, yet I still perform. Like one time I remember was during a performance that we had back when I was young, back when I apparently thought I was going to be playing the violin for the rest of my life. When we were performing at Walt Disney concert, I remember like half an hour before we got on the Walt Disney concert page for the ones who are LA fluent, for the ones who don't know what Walt Disney concert is, it's like in the World Cup stage, but for music in LA, like a World Cup final, but that's where it is. So it's kind of like that. It's like the big stage. And I remember being in the Yola program, which is also in LA, and yeah, like half an hour before, I was just having like terrible stomach aches, and I had to go shit. But I still got on my seat. I still performed. So it's like I wasn't happy that day, but damn, was I able to perform on one of the biggest stages of music in LA? So like, doesn't matter. So going back to the faith part, fear and faith are two different things. Fear is just noting that something is there. Like let's say I don't know. Let's say you have to face Goliath. There's the average person, and then there's David. The average person is just filled with fear. Fear is like, all right, like just run away. Fuck, fuck. You don't want to do it. David, on the other hand, notices the thing. He's like, okay. He just like he accepts. He accepts. Okay, this is what it is. So if there is no other option, might as well face it. Did that, and he won. Okay, so those are because fear should not determine what outcome you should do in life, and that's why faith is such a core pillar in a lot of in actually in any religion, and at least from to my extent of knowledge. And yeah, it's kind of strange because self-help books, they could just be summarized into like a religion book. Yeah, self-improvement books are basically just for people who don't really want anything to do with religion, which doesn't make sense because I don't know. I'm willing to bet that maybe like besides the ones that communicate with people, even though there are some foundational traits like treat others how the way you want to be treated, give people the same respect that you want to be given, even though it all be earned. But in those circumstances, you don't know if people are at their last straw and they might just wig out and fight you, maybe even kill themselves. You don't know. So so those are some of the things. But I'm sorry, I believe that most self help books could be like like yeah, most self help books are just like a Bible or Quran for most people. But most people don't want anything to do with religion. I don't understand their intentions. So who knows where that specific area comes from. So those are just some of the things that I've been getting to notice in terms of I'm hustling a lot to find ways to make this money myself. I think it's in total, it's definitely a five figures note that I would require to do this. Now if some grant program came out and said I'll give it you, cool. But I feel like I'm playing this game on hard mode and I want to play it on hard mode because I feel like the reward will be a lot better than if someone were to just to spoon feed it to me. So I feel like the skills and the people and the traits, the beliefs also that I will acquire from doing it this way, hard way, where okay, if I want it, I'm gonna make my way, which is applying to making other ways of income. I feel like that will be much a better reward than the actual money itself. So we'll see how that goes. So basically, every day, I'm in this mental pain where okay, it didn't really go out the way I had planned, especially in the beginning of the year where I told myself this it's going to be done at this time and this time, and learned the lesson that it's not time. You don't set goals by time; it's just milestones, because then there it's you don't fail by times. You just if you don't make it to the milestone, then that's how you know it failed. And it's probably once I have to quit, but I'm not quitting. This is a decade game, and I know that I'm gonna keep going at this. But I guess, yep. I guess we're doing it. I've been doing the progress. I can show progress later in another video. But for now, this is just talk. This is just talk and explain to you what I've been doing. Because do first, then talk a little bit, and then do some more, and then talk a little bit more later. But there is a there's a specific equation that I mentioned a little bit in what I believe is is the development of these skills. Because there is one last thing after I talk about this thing. I've been really thinking about it deeply. It's like what what is required to develop a good skill. So like let's say if I wanted to become the music prodigy that I was, I guess, be once destined to be. If I had continued, I probably would have been on maybe in like the official Walt Disney Orchestra, most likely the LA Philharmonic, most likely. But essentially, I think there's three things. It's development, or sorry, in terms of developing the skill, it is volume times attention times speed equals the development of the skill, and comma eventually leads to success. And the reason why I say this with certainty is because it's happened before with music, and then with a little bit when I thought chess was cool, and then now with publishing a lot of original content because I don't have access to tabs, trying to figure a way out to do that right now because unless like the university can pay for the things that it needs to do and get some space, cool. Otherwise, if I can't get access to a lab, the best thing I can do is produce a lot of content because not a lot of people never produce content. So that's one way of showing people that I'm certain of what I do and to show evidence that I know what I'm talking about. So that when the opportunity does come up, luck can help a little bit because I've done loads of work. But anyway, volume is everything that I just said. The amount of hours I put into music, the chess, the content creation, and all that. Volume is almost the same time in this thing, and for some people they say time is money. That's not true. So I believe time is measurable. Time is just a state of measurability. Because in physics, is created it just changes in a different state. Same thing. So time is just a state of measurability, and you can see how much of X or not you did. And I believe that if you put more hours into X thing, you can pay off. Like I like to think of pain and ignorance as like a health bar, where if you can if you can like defeat it or like wipe out the health bar of pain and ignorance with volume, you can definitely clean it up. So like I remember something that uh of Ronaldo where he would train a lot. He would train constantly, and that's what he does most of the time, at least in back in his prime. He did that a lot. But because he did it so much, he was able to pay off this like pain depth of like not being good enough and this ignorance depth of thinking he's like, like I don't know, like Messi or something. That's why he was one of the best, or he's one of the best of this decade. So volume does play a lot into it. And honestly, like just doing a lot of volume is good. And the next part is attention. So I believe that's one of the most important resources, especially for a kid like me, is where do I put my attention to? Because I believe that this economy is now focused on attention with social maps and all this stuff. Time and are kind of the same thing, except both of them are in a different state. Time is measurability, and attention is monetizability. I don't know if that word. I guess time is measurable. Attention is monetizable. I think that's the better way of saying it, because I don't know if that's a real word. And with attention, it depends because you can put 5 hours into music, but how much of your attention was actually on the music? What if you were like, I don't know, mentally masturbating on your phone? Maybe if you were on Instagram or trying to see if that girl texted you back. I don't know. Like those things. That's what attention is. Your attention is money. It was never time. That's why I don't like that saying times my attention is money, because that's monetizable. And when you put your attention to something else, you're giving the permission for somebody else to take away your attention and essentially take what was could have been your money. Because let's say I had stuck to music for a while, I could have gotten so good that I could eventually publish content, and people who want to know how to get better at the violin, I could monetize their attention off of that. I could make a spare income off of that from like for harmonic ones. It's possible. So yeah, attention is money. So for me, with this aerogel stuff, and for putting my attention into the grant program instead of actually putting into myself, reinvest into myself, find other ways of making the money myself. That for me was the biggest error. I'm not saying that grant programs are terrible, but it kind of gets to a point where you know what, best investment must go into myself. Even though it was better for myself, I knew that. Had I put my attention on something that was going to monetize me more or get me a high return, if I done it for a amount of time, high quality attention, I would have been there right now. I do not regret any part of it. because I'm learning the lessons right now instead of like when I'm 60, 70, I'm like, fuck. So it's okay. So I don't regret it. I just no one told me at least. But yeah, that's why multitasking is they yeah, because multitasking that's not really okay. I'm not so sure what happened. Okay. Okay, so internet crash, that's fun. Anyways, so I think I was talking about yeah, multitasking. Multitasking isn't the right word. They say you're multitasking, they mean you're multi-focusing. It's like when you're driving and on your phone. You got to pay attention to make sure you don't lose your life while making sure that she gets a response. That's what multi-focus is. That's the attention part. So yeah, attention can have quality to it. So that's one thing. And then the last part is speed, which there are yes a little bit of influence from mentors and other people who I trust, but you can replace the word speed with iteration if you want. And iteration is basically how after a certain outcome or a certain I guess a certain like the one I had. Okay, it's how quick are you to make a new plan or to respond to it. So most people when they see something that goes wrong, they're like, there's like one of three options. They quit, they take too long, or they actually, immediately get back up on the wagon. Most people go with the first two options. A lot of them, like the biggest gaps to any success in life is you either don't start because of fear and maybe of laziness, and then the second one is you don't go all the way, at least to a point where, or at least not by all the way to the point where you decide it is I have made it, and that can be, and the things that can stop you is lack of well complacency, arrogance, and lack of speed or iteration. And that's the thing for me with the Aquapella is I didn't go the guns that I wanted. So speed is what are we going to do next, and what actually next. And one thing that I'm beginning to notice, I'm going to mention it here, is I believe that at the same time I'm in a I'm in a learning season, while at the same time I'm probably like I want to earn enough so that I can learn from this thing. So essentially, what I mean here is I'm trying to make X amount so that I can have access to get into a lab, go validate this stuff, and go to the like these pools of people in aerogels and for water technologies, and talk to them, and be like, hey, can you mentor me, or I will take this with me, like take this project with me, I will go to your place, and I will work for free, and I learn from you. I will try and acquire as much as I can for when this does go big. I'm not, I'm not clowning around. That's another thing that I'm thinking about is why not just go to go to a person who I consider is an absolute goat in this game and just go ask, like go tell her like, hey, I think you're the goat. I got this stuff. Here's some of the evidence that shows that I'm not a complete idiot in this thing, and I'll work for you. I'm gonna work for you for free because I know that the exchange is I can do your content creation because I'm not saying I'm like not like I'm not the best, but I know I'm very good at it, especially for aerogels. And in exchange, I'm gonna acquire as much as you know because I mean I'm all gonna die. I know that. So also for me, it's just that faith of like, you know what? Okay, that it keeps failing, so I'm probably gonna have failing. So I might have to cut this. But this is the one big part I've noticed. Is mentally strong some of the mentally strongest men that I've ever encountered. They've had they have crazy stories. They have like a hard past, either by immigrants or just by terrible environment. And for them to come out of it like for me, and because I have personal stories to it too, but some of them are at another level. But for me, it's just it eliminates any excuse to why it's not possible. So for me, it's like I don't. I have two options: I die, or I make it, but die or die trying. I guess that's three, but either I do something or I don't. Basically. And that's the equation I think that will get me through anything. I decide the game. I decide the game, and using following volume time, attention time, speed, I can develop anything that I want. But I'm going to just make one big assumption, and anyone can prove me wrong if they want. But I feel like, because look, like I'm young, I'm very young to this thing. Like who the fuck wants and try and because like the material that I'm building, I did that in 10 months from scratch, so I know like okay, I'm not a clown. I'm not a clown, but I ain't no genius either. Because I mean, all I did was look into okay, what's the final outcome, and then what do I need to learn from there. So basically, I said I wanted to. I did ask people when I went to Ehukla in June. I told them, "What do you want? Like in terms of water filter, what do you want? What features must have? What must it not have? And how would it resolve like all these issues?" And they just basically told like those answers just basically tell you what chemistry to learn. Also with what is effective. So like that specific knowledge that I know I can't really find in a textbook, even though that yes, the basics I wanted to learn them. It's not that I had to; I wanted to because I wanted to solve this. So that's another thing. Switch your words around. It's not I must or I have to. It's you get to, you want to, you chose to. Okay, and that's basically how to kind of make them from scratch. Is like start with the final outcome and then just go from there. But yes, hustle is respected at whatever age. The fact that I'm young means that A, respect is a lot harder to get because you're young. B, it's a requirement. If I was like 30, 35, maybe, like, but because I don't know, because when you're younger, you have to be a lot more rebellious. But that means you must do a lot of shit. So I know that a little bit of money wouldn't help. A little bit of money would help for me to prove that I can do things. But that's the beauty of getting the game on hard mode is I'm getting a bit more creative, but when I get out of this, it reveals the biggest assumption that I have on humanity. But people don't like the fact that when someone chooses the game and they still win, they don't like that because they know that it is one of three ways. And this does come from past influence. But I like to look at life as either a chess game, of playing a music piece, or trying to solve a math problem. Okay? Because you know what's one thing that all three have in common? Chess, there's only one objective. You got to win. Music, you got to play the piece right so it sounds right. Math, there's only one answer. Like there's only one. And here's the other funny part. In all three, if you mess up somewhere, you did it wrong. It's like if you lose in chess, you messed up somewhere. There's no luck involved in chess, math, or music. You messed up a music piece. You messed up. And if you mess up again, then you're just probably playing a different music piece. So you might as well compose yourself. And then if you don't do a math problem correctly, you messed up somewhere, or you didn't know. So like sometimes even in chess or music, you didn't know how to read them, you didn't know that this move existed. It's okay, and that's why you do a lot of volume so you can pay down this health bar of pain and ignorance, and that's what I'm trying to pay off right now. Like by giving up a lot of things or sacrificing a lot of things, like limiting social circle to just a few who I know that are actually going to give me the highest value. Like those are the sacrifices. Because that's another thing about people that don't like start things is they can't find out what the price to pay for it is, and then they realize they're like, I don't want to pay that, so that's why they never do it. So it's also the fear thing again. It could be fear that drives them too, but when you look at life as one of those three things, like and that's how life is. It's like you only go out at it. Like maybe that's why people do like video games or something like that. Because I know you can get like I've never really played video games, but from what I know is multiple lives. So maybe that's why people like it. It's like, okay, you messed up, okay. Life is like a game of chess. Life is like a piece of music. Life is like a math problem. You only get one. You messed up somewhere, your fault. Just be responsible a bit, up and get it right. But that takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of volume, and that takes a lot of attention. But people, I don't know, people suck at impulse control. I suck at impulse control too. So as I said, I have speed. I'm quick to iterate, and I want to iterate. So that's why I know I am going to get far, even if it takes a long time, especially in a niche like this. But I know I can become king or goat in this because it's a specific niche. I can be the big fish in the small pond because that's another thing is I don't know, like things like sustainability, clean tech, and like or clean energy and all this crap. It's like, bro, that's like a large ocean. Like the more specific you go, bro, you can be king of that pool, and then you can just go eventually till you become like the I don't know what the blue whale of the ocean. Like that big ass shit. So I know like with aerogels is gonna start, and who knows to where it can come. But I know that if I stick this game, play a lot of volume. Oh yeah, and impulse control definitely. I know I can get for. So those are the things that I kind of wanted to be out here. But basically, in to summarize it, volume times attention times speed is development of skill and success. Life is like a game of chess, music, math. Have impulse control because a lot of people don't have it. So like, and yeah, pretty much that, bro. When I make it, everyone's going to say, "Wow, this kid was a genius." And and this is that's the funny part is until you make it, everyone calls it difficult, and then once you do make it, everyone's like, "That's wisdom." Uh, I'm a mentally strong man because I've had a hard past, so I know that walk. I can walk the hardest walks. So because I know when it hurts, I'm doing the right thing, especially at this age. Because this age, I have nothing to lose. So I don't know if it doesn't hurt right now. I would say definitely like take a look at that. Like if it doesn't hurt at this age, like if you're not even like 30, like what the fuck? Like, I believe that Like it must hurt, you know. Like yes, like seeing a loved one die in front of your eyes hurts, but it's the right thing because it'll get you stronger for those times when you need it. And any guy can relate to this. Like any pain that you have, whether it's like seeing a loved one die, heartbreak, getting injured in a game, and now you're taken out. Like, bro, that's unlimited energy. So that you never want to feel it, bro. Pain is one of the best triggers to do anything you fucking want. All right, but as mentioned, these are beliefs that I currently have. Who knows? In a decade, I might cringe at my dumbass from right now. So we'll see what stands the test of time. But I really like to think that that volume times attention times speed equals development of skill will stand the test of time. But as I mentioned, I'm gonna keep doing because I believe that I should only make these once a month. That makes a lot of sense. But I'm gonna keep fighting because that's who I fight my person. That's why I'm gonna get fought because I'm also impulse control. So see you in a month, and that's when I'll all my shit on you. So bye YouTube, bye everyone.